honestly, from the bottom of my heart, never meant to go about it like that in terms of putting your emotions aside. I think I was so focused on getting it technically right that I forgot about your emotions.
I don't feel sorry for you.
You don't need to.
Don't look at me like that.
You don't.
I am a hopeless romantic one. I am someone who likes to give people the benefit of the doubt too. And so I think I am going to live in my Delulu with Lucinda for a bit, and we'll just assume that, something will happen to sort of turn this boat round. Do I buy into, the Belle and Scott situation? No, I'm not buying into that. I am not buying into it, because at the end of the day, that is Belle, who has been sitting and waiting for Scott to become single. And finally, this is why I think she kept trying to be a part of his story. Finally, that he's single, she now thinks this is her opportunity to sort of pounce. Scott, he's never shown her interest from the time he picked Leanne, so I'm not surprised. I would be pleasantly surprised if he went back. With the breakup with Cher, for Cher to go about and tell everyone that she is the one who broke up with Scott, or there was a mutual agreement. Madam, we have eyes and ears to hear. We can hear and we can see exactly what was said. Scott is the one who initiated it. Scott is the one who told you that he can't open up because he has stronger feelings for Leanne. So the idea that you're going about telling people that it was a mutual breakup, okay, if that makes you sleep better at night, good for you. And then Scott and Leanne. I'm going to live in Delulu. Scott and Leanne have a lot of feelings for one another. Scott and Leanne met someone they didn't expect to meet in the villa. And so they sadly didn't come up with a plan, or they didn't have good communication skills, and this is why they are where they are. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. To go Valerie, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars season 3 episode 22. So you have the islanders around the fire pit with Maya Jama. Maya is busy asking everyone, so what's going on? How was movie night? Was there any drama? And everyone is sort of saying, yes, there was drama. It was very sort of toxic. You have Lucinda and her man Sean try to make themselves victims of the situation. Belle, for her to jump in, Belle needs to make up her mind. I think Belle is just looking for a guy, and she will pounce on any guy that takes her, because at the end of the day, she doesn't have an option. She cancelled the guy that wanted her. She had Shaq, but she got the egg and she never went back, so she needs to take several seats. I love that Scott said, there's bigger fish to fry. Maya Jama is here. This is what we should be worried about, not the fact that, people were fighting on movie night. We need to focus on why Maya is here and address whatever's happening. Maya reveals that, the public have been voting, and she's going to announce the 4 bottom couples. And it's like, oh, it's about to be messy. So the couples are announced in no uncertain order. First up was Imani and Connor, and then Kira and Curtis, Lucinda and Sean, and Cher and Scott. It makes sense with Lucinda and Sean because of the chaos they've been causing around the villa. It would make sense that people wouldn't vote for them because of that. And then with Scott, I think it was the whole Leanne situation. This is why people didn't vote for him. People were upset about Leanne crying and everything else that was going there. They stand up at the fire pit, and Maya Jama reveals that, 2 couples will be dumped, and immediately you know who's going home. It was obviously going to be Connor and Curtis in their couples, just because they're very quiet in the villa, so you barely hear anything from them. So the idea that anyone would have expected them to still be there doesn't make sense. They don't bring any drama. They don't bring anything. Curtis is not in a good couple that people love the other partner, so it makes sense that they went home. They are told to say their goodbyes. They say their goodbyes. They pack their bags, and then as they leave, you have the USA girls thank everyone for how they've treated them, because it seems, although the villa was crowded, everyone was very nice. They were very nice, and so they go and they sit down with Maya Jama, and Maya sort of asks questions. She starts off with Curtis. How does it feel now that you're out, and this whole situation with Millie. And they said the reason why he really liked Millie was because she has got great values and great morals. This is what he loved about her. He was asked, do you have anything to say about Zach? And he said, sadly, I don't have anything negative to say about the guy. I think he's a great guy. He was then asked, what about them as a couple? He said he loves them as a couple. Okay, good for him. Kira said, the USA people, Islanders, brought a lot of drama and confidence to to the UK Love Island, and it's like, nah, I don't think so. You all didn't bring anything. Even Imani was a mellow or a more subdued version of herself that I've seen on Love Island USA. So I'm pleasantly surprised that what happened, what exactly didn't they sort of agree with. Connor on his part, he said he felt some type of way about the Whitney situation, whereby she said to him he should have been sent home instead of Shaq. But other than that, he was good. And Maya actually acknowledged that, he's been a very even killed Islander, which is his problem, I think, and the reason why he's not the best candidate to have on the show, because he's one of the sweetest guys, he's one of the quietest guys. So he needs to be on a show whereby they focus on other things outside of just the fact that you're very loud and very opinionated. Imani, she spoke about her connection with Jack, because you had Kira and Imani speak about their connection with Jack, and the fact that she was having a great connection with Connor. She said she's planning on coming to the UK, so I love that for her, which means obviously they're going to continue to explore that. I think if Imani wants to settle down, if she wants a nice, good guy, then Connor is it for her. If she wants, a rowdy boy, a hard boy, then she has to, wait. In the villa, you have Lucinda and Sean. They're busy talking. Lucinda saying people they undermine me. They don't listen to me. They disrespect me. They say I'm Delulu. And it's like, Lucinda, you are. You are. They don't take me seriously. They don't, because you don't take yourself seriously. So please keep it quiet. Sean saying that Belle keeps getting herself involved in their drama. That's true. I think she's doing it more for airtime, because it's not necessary. There's no need for her to continue to have this back and forth with Sean. It's not like they were married. It's not like they were closed off. There were two people exploring a connection. They explored, they broke up, and then they went back to exploring, which means that he couldn't find somebody else. This is why he went back to her. So for Belle to continue to make that a big deal doesn't bode very well with me. Sammy and Belle are at the fire pit, and you have Belle saying the wrong people left. And it's like, when you say the wrong people left, who did you want to leave? Who exactly did you want to leave? I don't get it, and I don't understand it. And I was sort of side-eyeing Belle, in the sense that Belle was not in that serious of connection with Sean. She needs to settle down. It's not that deep. There's no need for her to continue to carry on with that. You then have, on the day beds, you have Whitney with Yemen. They're sitting with Cher and Leanne. And so Scott pulls Leanne for a chat. I don't think that was the right time for them to chat. I think they should have just pulled each other aside, given each other a hug. Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. I'm happy you're still here. I'm happy you're still here. We'll chat tomorrow. That's what they should have done. Because sitting down, they were still very heated from the conversation during movie night. There was never going to be anyone listening to the other, because it became a point scoring thing. And I understand why Scott said he was trying to be technically right, because he said, I've been respectful. I refused the secret garden. I haven't held her hand. I haven't kissed her. I haven't cuddled her. I haven't done anything. And yet you took someone to the secret garden. And Leanne is saying, but you should have checked in with me. You didn't check in with me. You just left me out there. And I was questioning what was going on. And Scott was agitated because you were saying you should have told me what was happening before you took him to the secret garden. And it's like, I don't get it. You were exploring someone. She was sitting there. What did you expect her to do? While this conversation is happening, you have Yemen sort of having a conversation with Whitney and Cher, and implying that, oh yeah, she was interested in me. That conversation was just nothing. It was just a general talk. And it's like, she told you, I am sorry I'm dragging you into this. She didn't say, hi, I want to get to know you. The first words are, I'm sorry I'm dragging you into this. When you sat down, I'm sorry I'm dragging you into this. Why would she do that if she really had feelings for you? The audacity and the idea that you're trying to give, that she was interested in you and she was trying to make a pass at you, I don't get it, and I really don't like it. The way Whitney behaved, I didn't like that as well. If she has a problem, and if this is your best friend in the villa, pull her aside. Have a chat with her. Hi, I'm not happy. Why did you pull my guy without telling me? That I found was disrespectful. Then she knows, because you telling her up, Cher, and you telling your guy doesn't make sense if someone is your best friend. In the meantime, you have, Scott is in his feelings because he is upset at the idea that she's taken this man to the secret garden. Leanne is upset because she's saying you haven't been empathetic, you haven't been caring, you haven't checked in with me. And it's like, I get where Scott is sort of coming from, and sadly Leanne can't see it because she's upset with him. In my opinion, Scott, after the recoupling, when he tried to pull her for a chat and she walked away, he sort of held back because he didn't know whether it was okay for him to check in or whether it's not okay for him to check in. And I think he was trying to make it seem like he fully invested himself in exploring the connection with Cher, knowing full well that he didn't do anything, knowing full well that he was being very superficial. He didn't intend to grow anything with Cher. And in doing that, he tried to make it seem as though he was fully invested. That way, he would cut things off with Leanne and focus on Cher and make everybody believe that, oh, he's definitely exploring with Cher. Whether that was his choice or whether that was a production choice, we will never know the truth. In the end, the two of them were so heated that they decided to sort of call it off and said, we'll talk again tomorrow. You have Jack and Cher sit down for a chat. Cher is upset with Jack. She said, when I stood up and I was vulnerable, you were smirking. Why were you smirking? It was as though you were trying to get even. I would never have mocked you if you were in that situation. So I don't understand why you did that. And Jack is trying to explain that I wasn't mocking you. I was just feeling some type of way because I felt like, it wasn't necessary to, or you didn't need to be sort of in the bottom. I think he was just being sarcastic, more or less. And sadly, it backfired on him. They agreed to disagree and they make up. You have Scott have a conversation with Jack, and he's being asked, so how did things go with Leanne? And he said, I don't know. Things didn't work out. Our chat didn't work out the way I wanted it to go. So we'll have to try and do it again tomorrow. At the moment, things didn't work out as planned. Leanne, on her part, is upset because she is saying, the conversation didn't go as she wanted it to go. And she felt like he wasn't caring or empathetic with how she felt. Scott, on his part, is saying, you didn't tell me. You were telling everybody else, but you didn't tell me. I don't know. Their communication style is different. They needed a mediator, someone to let them both understand what the other person is trying to say. Anyway, everybody went to sleep. In the morning, you have the islanders wake up. The mood is low because of movie night. The mood is low. I wish we could have a graph this soon before we have a dumping. So the mood was low. You have Scott go for a chat with Carrington, reasons best known to production. Scott was saying, I don't want to explore anyone. I don't want to explore anymore with Cher. For me, it feels wrong trying to explore with anyone because it feels like I'm doing something against my couple. And so I know, Cher is an amazing girl. She's got amazing qualities. But for me, Leanne is home. Leanne feels like home. And so for everyone to say, oh, he's saying that just because he was vulnerable, Scott is not the one or the two to do that with. He's not the one or the two because he would rather go home than force a connection with someone. We've seen it in his season. He was dumped because he broke up his couple when there were only 8 people left. And there was no opportunity that a bombshell was coming in. And because of that, he was dumped and he was sent home. So the idea that he would couple up with Leanne just because she wasn't vulnerable is not it. If that was his gameplay, he would have coupled up with Millie when they were both the favorite boy and favorite girl. But he has followed his heart, and this is who Scott is. And as Whitney said, he will never tell you a lie, but he might tell you a joke. You have Helena having a chat with Sammy, and Helena is sort of saying, Carrington was saying we're a fun couple, but we're not a fun couple. We barely talk. We barely spend time together. I'm not just myself around him. I'm not as goofy as I normally am. I'm trying to be someone that I'm not. They are a convenient couple, and because Helena has a very large fan base, this is how they've managed to skirt under the radar. Had she not had an amazing fan base, they would have been the ones that were sent home. In my opinion, they should have been the ones that were sent home. You have, Sammy be called for a chat by Lucinda. Lucinda loves to hear herself speak. Lucinda loves to hear herself speak. And so they sat down. Lucinda immediately was accusatory. This is what I'm going to say. At the end of the day, Sammy should be thanking Lucinda. Because without Lucinda, she didn't have a storyline. We didn't even know she was in the fella. So this back and forth that she's had with Lucinda is what has kept her going, and this is what has given her momentum. So she needs to take several seats at the end of the day and just ride with it. If Lucinda wants to scream and shout, she just screams and shouts as well. She goes and sits down. If Lucinda wants to ignore her, because at the end of the day, Lucinda is giving her mileage on the show that she didn't have. We've seen more of Sammy since Lucinda came in than we did before. Anyway, Lucinda then goes and is crying to Leanne and just saying, this is hard for me because people they undermine me. They don't, treat me like someone who they should be talking to with respect and, and appreciating my sort of level of intellect. I think it's more or less what she said, because she was saying they all see me as though I'm Delulu. So, hey, Lucinda needs to stop putting on a performance and maybe things will get better. You then have Scott stand up and you go and have a conversation with Cher. that conversation was dry because he was even telling the guys prior to that, I knew being in a triangle was hard, but this is not enjoyable at all. He's been saying that, but sadly, he hasn't been saying it to Leanne because he's been saying that I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know it was going to be this unenjoyable. I thought I would at least have a great time doing it, but I'm not having an amazing time. He really wanted to go home. So when Leanne came and pulled him, he was happy because I think he thought, I'll go and sit with her, I'll apologize for what I did or what I said that upset her, and then we'll keep moving. So he went, he tried to apologize and he tried to explain himself to say, the reason why I'm feeling some type of way is because you took this guy to the secret garden. That was their special place. That was where they officially decided to explore it. And I think this is why he's feeling some type of way. Had he been shown that they just went there and they sat opposite chairs and were talking like they were in an interview, I don't think he would have been as upset. And so it came out of left field that, Leanne called things off because he said I was trying to do everything technically right. And sadly, it didn't play out the way I thought it should. Leanne said, well, you weren't caring or compassionate. And there are certain qualities I want in a partner that wants me. And you at the moment are not displaying that. I love that he owned up and he said, I'm going to be man enough and own that. I'm not good at sort of displaying empathy. I might feel it, but I'm not good at displaying it. And so it was really sad. That's the moment you saw that Scott is really, really, really has deep feelings for Leanne. Because when Leanne called things off and she asked him, do you have anything else to say? He said nothing. I think he was crying. I think she was crying. That's why they both had their glasses on. Because when she stood up, you saw him sort of wipe tears and sort of sit there. I think he was trying to compose himself and make sure that he didn't walk across the villa crying. You had Leanne go and sit with Lucinda and she told Lucinda, I've just ended things with Scott. And when he was walking past, Lucinda kept asking questions and she told Lucinda, don't speak. This is when you know that she still cares about Scott. Yes, she's feeling some type of way about him, but she still cares. And she was asked, did he try to, fight for your connection? And Leanne said, no, he can't fight for it because he hasn't spoken to me in days. So how can he fight for us? So Scott then went into the bedroom. I think after trying to compose himself, he thought, I'm strong enough to walk across the villa. Went into the bedroom, jumped into bed, and that was him. I have a feeling that production are the ones that sent Kieran to go and look for him. Because when Kieran walked in, he just said Leanne broke things off. And Kieran was like, what do you mean? He said, she ended it. She said, this is the end of the road. And sadly, I always sabotage myself. Every time I have a good thing, I only realize that it was good once it's gone. And so now I'm in this place whereby he more or less didn't know what to do with himself. And it was really sad because he kept sort of leaning into Kieran. And it was nice to see them be there for one another with Kieran constantly just hugging him because you could tell that all Scott wanted was someone just to hug him. All Scott wanted was just someone to hug him. I love that Kieran gave him the advice he needed. This is what I said before, that I feel like Kieran has been giving, Scott advice when it comes to Leanne, but because production, it didn't fit their narrative, they kept showing us everybody else's chat about Cher being the better couple for him. And so to see, them sit there and talk and actually have an open and honest conversation and have Kieran trying to encourage Scott that you need to fight for your connection. Scott was saying, I need to compose myself, I need to sort of think of what I'm going to say to her to make sure she fully understands me. And it's like, it's really sad. I've never seen Scott like this. I have never seen Scott like this. Even when Catherine broke up with him, it wasn't this bad. So the idea that he's been broken up with and he's crying like a baby really tells you that he had strong feelings for her. And the islanders then got ready for the night. They picked up their drinks, and then you had Jack sitting with Cher and just having a chat, and he was asking to be taught Spanish. So you have Scott go and interrupt the chat between Cher and Jack, and he sat down with her and he just said, I've decided to call it quits. You are an amazing person. You're everything someone would want. But my feelings for Leanne are stronger. So I cannot continue to explore this. And it's pointless me wasting everyone's time. You have Cher on her part say, oh, yeah, it makes sense because you're really not digging deeper. And so I feel I totally agree. And so I wish you all the best. You can go and win your girl. In the meantime, at the fire pit, you have Leanne sitting with Belle and Millie, and they're sort of asking, so what's going on with Scott? And she said, I broke things off. Are you going to sort of be open? If he breaks things off with Cher, are you going to be open? And she said, it's not really the Cher thing. It's the fact that he doesn't express empathy and compassion. That's the problem that I have. And Meantime, the op is there. Belle is sitting there like a supportive friend, but she's trying to suss out what's going on. They said their goodbyes, and then they walked to the fire pit where Scott immediately asked to have a conversation with Leanne. With Leanne, they went to the terrace. She agreed to go to the terrace with him. I know Scott, when Catherine brought another partner and she sort of told him that it was the end of the road, he was upset. But this was worse. I've never seen him this bad. My heart broke for him. I've never seen him this bad because he said, I'm shaking because I'm trying to make sure I articulate everything I want you to hear or I want to say. And so please allow me to speak. He spoke about the fact that he doesn't want anybody else in the villa or any new bombshells that might come in. He is set on Leanne. He's given her his full permission to go and explore connections with everybody else. And it's like, Scott, you have no authority to tell her what to do because she's told you it's over, buddy. Just tell her you're the one I want. I'm going to sit here and wait. I'm going to leave you to do your thing. If by any chance you still want to explore something with me, please come back. If you are happy to, I will continue to make the effort to pull you for chats and see if we can grow something. And so for him to sort of try and sort of say, oh, you're free to do this, you're free to do that. This is what I think. I think Scott, if anyone decides to explore a romantic connection with Leanne and they suddenly progress that connection, Scott is going to self-eliminate. He's going to self-eliminate. That I'm willing to bet. If a bombshell walks in and suddenly goes for Leanne and they start making out in front of Scott, or if they start sitting for chats and it appears that that connection is growing, Scott is going to self-eliminate. He is going to self-eliminate because I don't think he has the capacity or the bandwidth to cope with anyone else being with Leanne by him. I think the only reason he's staying in the villa now is so he can keep an eye and make sure that nobody else attempts to do anything with Leanne. But I don't think he is going to explore with anyone else, even though there's that Belle situation. You then have Helena go for a chat with Carrington, and she says to Carrington, I don't think there's anything there. I think we're wasting each other's time because at the end of the day, our connection is not that deep. I am not myself around you. I think Helena was upset by the fact that he was telling, Belle, that you are the business, you are the price, you are, the ethical, yeah, this, that, and the other. And yet with Helena, he didn't say anything. So she said she's had enough and, they're done. They were never a couple. There was never going to be anything there. So I'm not surprised that they've broken up because it wasn't that deep. And so, hey, kudos to them. You then have Scott in the kitchen with Belle because Belle, the moment she found out that Scott was single, this was her opportunity to now make her intentions known because she's liked Scott, but she hasn't done anything because of Leanne. Now, the fact that he's broken up with Cher, he's broken up with Leanne is something she didn't expect. And so she's found this as a moment and she's decided to step in. Leanne goes for a chat with Cher. And so they sat down and Leanne is sort of saying, I just want you to know that, he's now your guy. You can do whatever you want. And Cher's saying, I don't understand that we can do whatever we want because we broke things off. And Leanne was, oh, so you broke things off with him? And she went, no, he pulled me for a chat, but we agreed to break up. Leanne, if you don't like someone, why do you need to know who broke things off with whom? Why? You still have feelings for this man. You want this man to come correct. And if he comes correct, you will give him a chance. That's my hope and that's my belief. And I'm going to leave it on that. Belle then had a conversation with Sean where they were sort of addressing their issues in regards. Sean felt like, he had made mistakes. He apologized for his mistakes and he wanted them to move away from name calling and sort of going back and forth. I think he's doing that because he's in the bottom. Sean is strategic. He is strategic. His coupling was strategic. So I'm not surprised by this. On the terrace, you have Tommy. He is crying to Jack because he says, I wish I had gone home. And it's like, buddy, the door is still open. Just tell them you're going home. Pack up your stuff and leave. You don't need to wait for a ceremony. You can go home. I understand where he's coming from in the sense that sadly, he's one of the youngest guys in the villa and he's very childlike. And so the girls don't want that. Whereas Kieran, although he's 23, he's sort of got manly qualities or manly behaviors. And this is why girls always sort of divert to him. So poor Tommy. This situation with Tom Bell, I personally think it's being orchestrated as the storyline for next week. I think it is because it doesn't make sense why Belle was flirting with Scott. Scott, on his part, I don't think has yet picked up that she wants him romantically. He can't jump from going, I don't want anybody else, to suddenly going after Belle. That doesn't make sense. That's not Scott. Scott is a very analytic and sort of very well sort of intentioned person. even though at times it doesn't sort of play out that way. And so I don't think he would ever have explored anything with Belle, knowing that he's just told Leanne that she's his one and only. Leanne to be in the changing room and be asking everybody, what's going on out there? What's going on out there? And she actually came out to see what was happening. She still has feelings for Scott. She wants Scott to do the work and come correct. And if he does, he will do that. On her part, Belle is seeing this as her moment. I love that when she went into the changing room, you had Whitney say to her, the same thing that you're criticizing Lucinda for is the same thing you're doing now. So for Belle to be running around telling everybody else that, oh, I didn't expect anything with Scott, but hey, there is something there. Girl, you've been waiting your time. You've been waiting for your turn. So please don't treat us like idiots. We can all see through your mess. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 21. Bye everyone.